But yeah, I was shuddering when I saw Portland Blair on that bed, just getting
Yeah.
whipped. I mean, way more than like that should have been a dummy. It shouldn't have been like
Hmm.
an
Hmm.
actual, they were depending way too much on her green little, pre-adolescent bones there.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Now convinced that something supernatural is happening, Chris desperately seeks out Father Karras and begs him to examine her daughter. Chris is wearing sunglasses when she's talking to him, and I just feel so bad once again. Like you see her just her both her eyes are just black from just Reagan just beating on her and slapping her around and stuff. And this is, like I said, one of the scenes where I really feel bad for her. So Father Karras agrees. During his visit, Reagan claims to be the devil, speaks in several languages, and vomits a stream of green bile directly into Karras's face. The demon declares that it will remain inside Reagan until she dies. And this is also where we get the very iconic line, "What an excellent day for an exorcism," which is just absolutely chilling. I just got chills saying it. It's just like, oh my gosh. So to test the girl's reaction, Father Karras secretly sprinkles her with ordinary tap water while pretending it is holy water. When Regan reacts violently anyway, he becomes uncertain whether he is witnessing genuine demonic possession or severe mental illness. He also records a strange language she speaks and later has linguistic expert analyze the tape. Um, the expert concludes that the mysterious language is actually English spoken backwards. One night, Sharon, the assistant, urgently summons Father Karras after the words "help me" mysteriously appear on Reagan's abdomen. And I remember the first time I watched this movie, that was so scary to me. I was so scared. Like, oh my God, I just
Reagan's still
remember.
in there and she's like trying to get out. Like that's
That's,
another, yeah, horror, right?
yeah.
It's that feeling of being trapped
Oh my
between
gosh.
like, you
Right.
cannot like within your own body. And I think that's
Right.
another medical fear that came up for me in this
Mm.
and in this movie too is um with mental illness, that sort of like
Yes.
especially or dementia, say like
Yes.
sometimes those stages where it's happening and but you can't do anything about it. And so like
Right.
that feeling of and I think as the observers or the family members and like things like that, one of your only hopes is, well, hopefully they're not really there, or hopefully they don't know, what's
They
going
don't
on.
know what's happening. Right.
Yeah, and then so to have that assurance just stricken with the weird like help me on her stomach. um just incredible. And I wanted to talk a little bit about like so that the scene too, because the room is freezing cold, right? So
Yeah. Yes.
and I think that
Yes.
was another extreme thing that the director did with saying like negative 30 to 40 degrees in
Yeah.
I
He
don't even know how you
brought
get a
some
room.
kind of, what did he bring? Was it, he brought some kind of freezer mechanism or something.
Yeah.
Like there was like whatever they use in like deep freezers or whatever. Like he put them in that room, and so the room was actually really cold. Like you said, like what negative
Yeah, it's
three
like
or
negative
like some
30
30 or
degrees.
something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um
It
oof,
looks absolutely freezing in there.
yeah. And then poor little Blair's in her nightie.
Karras finally concludes that an exorcism is necessary. His superiors approve the request, but insist that an experienced exorcist lead the ritual. That responsibility falls to Father Marin, who has successfully performed an exorcism before. So when Father Marin arrives at the McNeil home, the film delivers one of the most iconic images in all of horror history. And Andrea, you have that image right behind you there. Um,
Yeah, I'll move so you
standing,
can see him.
yeah, standing beneath Regan's bedroom window, he is illuminated by a brilliant beam of light cutting through the fog, almost as if the demon itself is placing him under a spotlight before the final confrontation. Father Marin and Father Karras begin reading from the Roman ritual as the demon relentlessly mocks, curse, and torments them. So, Marty, do you know much about the Roman ritual, like the prayer that they're reciting? Is that in Revelation? What part of the Bible is that in?
That is just a conglomeration of things.
Okay,
So yeah, I mean, so they
Recognize a
use a
lot from the
lot of the
Mass, right,
words.
Marty? Like, I
Yeah,
mean,
a
a
lot
lot
of
of it was
it's
just
just
from,
a straight mass. Yeah, but like
gotcha. Okay.
a lot of it is. I mean, it's in Latin, so it's most people wouldn't necessarily know what it was, but. I mean, the other thing is they repeat the words of Jesus as he casts out demons. The difference is that in the Bible, Jesus has no problem to like demons see him coming and like run basically and like and in particular in the Legion episode there's a demoniac and then Jesus shows up and asks who is this and then says I'm Legion or whatever and then the Legion and Legion knows they're gonna get cast out so it immediately starts asking like well can you like I don't kill us, don't like whatever. We just want to like get thrown into those pigs over there or whatever. And so like they're kind of bargaining with them, and then the pigs run off the cliff or whatever. In that and that's supposed to be similar to the priest getting run out the window kind of a thing. But the thing about Legion is like the most common modern day biblical interpretation is that it refers to the Roman occupation, the legions of Roman soldiers or whatever. So that with whatever every one of Jesus's miracles, exorcisms, whatever, there's like some other like more teaching thing that goes along with it. And so but the way the movie takes it is like there's like a legion of unclean spirits, in Regan or whatever. So that there's this other biblical passage that's very weird, and it starts to talk about the impotency of some of this situation here, and it's going to kind of set up
yeah,
the ending where they're just not able to get this demon out or whatever. But Jesus says this really strange thing. He says, like after you got to be careful because like after a demon is cast out through an exorcism, it'll leave like this open, clean house, and that demon will go out and in the dry places, whatever the hell that means, and then it will go and get like its friends, and then when it comes back to where it was, it'll find the place all swept clean or whatever. There's a lot of interpretations of it, but it's like another indication in the Bible of like, oh, okay, so then what would we even do it for? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
if you just make it worse because like this legion of demons comes back. And then the last thing that I think is relevant to this one is that um, Jesus's disciples, like they are given like the technique, in the name of Jesus, you're out, and then the demons are just gone, But like all of a sudden they come up into a situation where they're not with Jesus and they can't cast out the demons. And they ask him, like, why can't we do this? And he's like, yeah, sometimes it's like you can't do anything except pray and fast. And it's like this, okay, like what happened to this cool power we had or whatever? But it's taken us like this will lead up to where we're going. This sacrificial kind of you know stance towards like what you can't seem to do anything
Right.
about with your power or whatever.
There has to be like a take too. Like, I mean, like it doesn't, it's not just casting out the demon has to go somewhere, right? Or like
Hmm.
there has to be a sacrifice of some kind.
That's good.
Like
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you, get it out of Reagan, there's a cost and you have to pay whatever that cost is. And so whether
yeah.
that be, which I know like leads us towards the end of that too, but I just wanted to point out, Marty, because what supports the concept of the Legion in this is that do you remember there's several references where when Regan is speaking as the demon, he talks about us. And so like she's in here
Yeah,
Yeah.
with
yeah,
us,
yeah.
Yes.
not
Yes.
a singular thing. So later, during the exorcism itself, it does seem like it's, okay, I cut that head off. Now it's this guy. Now it's this
Yeah.
one. And it's like he's already
Right.
invited a bunch of friends in there.
Yeah.
Or is it more like all the biblical references to the many faces and the many appearances of demons,
Mm.
right? So you
Yeah.
can't like just recognizing it is like half the battle already. Is just saying like, okay, it's gonna look like this now, and now you gotta use this words because the exorcism itself, like one of the things that I noticed too, and I should have known, like I'm not that I've studied exorcism or anything like that, but it's like that, you kind of get this image with vampires, for example, that like, oh, I've got a cross, I've got holy water, and it's gonna burn you, or there's like an instant,
Right. Yeah.
cure. But in this
Yeah.
case, you're right. They're like, all right, well, we're gonna
We're gonna
throw
try
our father
this.
at you
We're
now.
gonna
Yeah.
try this. They're
It's
just
just like,
throwing stuff at the wall and
right.
see what sticks. They're just like, we're gonna do a
Yeah.
little bit of this, and then we're gonna do a little bit
Right.
of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just
as
like
was the
the
case with the Maryland, the actual Maryland Exorcist as well. There was, yeah, they didn't seem to. I mean, the kid came out of it and actually went on to have a career, like I forget, like was something with NASA, like the reentry, designing the reentry for like spaceships or something like that. But like I just like I was like they performed like these rituals, exorcisms on a daily basis for months on end, and nothing
Yeah.
changed. It's just like made me wonder, like, why do you keep doing it over and over and
Didn't
over
he
right.
just
again?
like snap out of it or something? Like,
Yeah, he
didn't
just
it
like
just
snapped out
like,
of it at some point.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
So
all right, good job, exorcists. You guys, you're like, you just wore the demon down.
I know, well,
Right. The
kind of.
It's
demon was
I
like,
mean, I
like,
this is
I'm
guess.
really
bored.
boring.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna go to someone more interesting.
Right.
I don't think people realize. I mean, like, yeah, the actual, like this actual exorcist, and I don't know, like the way exorcists are done now that they've been taken over mostly by Protestants. But there's like there was a big, all of a sudden after this movie, a lot of people started getting possessed in this exact
Possessed.
way, but there weren't any
Yeah.
Catholic priests to do it. And actually, this is a lot of where Ed and Lorraine Warren came from. They were, they jumped in, to do all these
To save
exorcisms
the
or whatever.
day.
Yeah, right. uh,
Supernatural
but like,
superheroes.
there are now a lot more Catholic priests who are supposedly trained in this or whatever and like kind of do this freelance.
Just as
But now
qualified.
it's a Protestant thing, which is like always like was looked at like, whoa, Protestants would look at Catholics like this is so backwards. It's one of the reasons why the church refused to do it in most
Right.
cases, because like, they knew they would get like tagged as being
Seems like
backwards.
crazy.
But yeah, but now
Yeah.
it's like you watch these Protestant like preachers like shove Bibles into people's guts and stuff like that, and like knock them over, like knock the demons out of them and all this other kind of stuff. There's a whole new industry that came up. I don't know if I want to say it entirely, but at least partially because of this fucking movie. So, but
I,
anyway,
Yeah.
well, how many times did they have to say, and I apologize, Charlotte, if I'm zipping ahead, but like for when they're finally to the part where they say the power of Christ compels you.
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm glad you brought that up because I have said that
Well, do
just
you notice the
just
music
randomly in
stops?
my life when something weird happens. I'm like, the power of Christ compels me.
And it's used in a
Because
lot
it's
of
like,
like
yeah,
parodies
like
and,
parodies and stuff.
yes.
Yeah. Because they say it like a 250 times in this movie.
Oh my God.
So
Yeah. I was like, dude, I don't think it's doing what
it's
you
not
think it's
working.
doing. It's not
Not
working. I think
working.
that she's just getting tired of elevating. And then like, it's just like gravity's taking over after a little while here.
Right.
But they stopped the music, right? Like, so that's where when you were mentioning the bells and the kind of iconic music,
Yeah.
that was so striking to me that they just like, okay, stop. And then they say it over and over and over again with like
Yes.
incremental little, changes happening
Yeah.
until they finally get her down,
Yeah. And then, yeah. And that's, yeah. And yeah, this all the sound kind of drops out. You're right. This is such a good part in this movie. The sound kind of drops out, and then she just levitates. Like, and there's
Mhm.
this like really like kind of like white ghostly light around the room or whatever. It's a really beautiful scene, actually. And then she kind of, comes back down very slowly. And even them, even I don't remember Marin's face, but I know Father Karras's face is just kind of like, what the hell is happening,
Right.
which is perfect because once again, he is teeter-tottering on his faith, right? He's just like not believing, but oh my gosh, this craziness has happened. She's not possessed, but maybe she is. So we see that, him kind of flip-flopping back and forth with that. And
Hmm.
so it's really
Yeah.
good. This movie's so good. Okay, so during a break from the exorcism, we see Father Merrin quietly taking more pills, right? And I'm pretty sure they're nitroglycerin, right? Revealing that his failing heart may not be able to withstand this whole ordeal. When Father Karras returns to Regan's room, the demon appears in the form of his deceased mother. And although Karras insists he knows that it is not really her, the vision deeply shakes him. Father Marin notices his emotional state and sends him downstairs basically to like get his shit together before coming back. But Father Marin continues the exorcism alone.
Bad idea,
Soon,
I think.
bad idea,
That's like
man.
doing the
Bad.
Ouija alone. You don't
Yeah.
exorcist
You
alone.
don't leave a person, you never leave a man behind, especially in a room with the demon or with a demon. Soon afterward, Chris asks Father Karras if Regan is going to die. He reassures her that she will survive before rushing back upstairs. And I think seems like it's not that big of a deal, but the fact that he made a promise to this mother that her daughter was not going to die, I think makes him make certain decisions that we're gonna
Yeah.
gonna get into. Um, he goes back upstairs. He discovers Father Marin, unfortunately, is dead from a heart attack, while the possessed Regan is laughing and taunting him. And that was always a scary scene, too, because it was just
Hmm.
like traumatizing. Like, this guy just died, and she's like, I should say Regan slash the demon. It's just kind of like, oh, like laughing and making fun of it all. Um, Overcome by grief and rage, Karis attacks the demon, aka Regan, essentially beating up a child because it's the demon's in Regan's body, but we see him like really, give her a good couple of punches to the face.
It's
I was like,
like,
wow,
remember, it's still her body.
it's still a child's body. But he demands that the demon leave Regan and possess him instead. The demon accepts, ripping the Saint Joseph medal from Karras's neck before transferring into him, almost like a supernatural version of Freaky Friday, and instantly freeing Regan from the demon. Realizing he can no longer control the evil inside him, Father Karras makes the ultimate sacrifice. He hurls himself through the bedroom window and tumbles down the stone staircase to his death, ensuring the demon dies with him. But I don't know about
Yep.
that. We'll talk about that at the end because I have thoughts.
Hmm.
Chris and Detective Kinderman rush into the bedroom and find Regan completely restored with no memory of what has happened. Outside, Father Dyer reaches the dying Karras and administers his last rites before he passes away. In the film's final moments, the McNeils prepare to leave Georgetown. Father Dyer stops by to say goodbye. Although Regan remembers nothing about her possession, she notices Father Dyer's uh, clerical collar and instinctively kisses him on the cheek in a quiet gesture of gratitude. Before departing, Chris gives Father Dyer the St. Joseph medal that she had found in Regan's room. As they drive away, Father Dyer pauses for one last look at the staircase where Father Karras sacrificed himself before silently walking away. And that is the end of the movie. So, let's talk about this because this has been the topic of many discussion between Marty and I and other people as well. Do you think that the demon dies when Father Karras dies? Andrea, what are your thoughts? I'll let you go first since I kind of already know what Marty's thoughts are. I'll let you go first.
Well, I think it was very noble of Father Karras to throw himself out the window. I think actually it was so that he didn't have to live with it in him, than more so than to
Mm,
actually kill the demon, because the demon didn't need a human
right.
host to travel around, right? So, because somehow it got into Reagan without,
Right. A
or at least
body.
that they
Right.
told us, or
Right.
showed us like how it got in there. So I don't think it needed a living human to quote unquote like survive. And it's a thing. Like it's not a, you know, I don't, it's not a human, it's not a whatever.
Right.
So I think all that throwing himself out the window did was stop himself from having to experience what Reagan did. So that's my
Yeah.
opinion.
I would just say the logic, I guess, is supposed to be Vladdy's logic at any rate, is like so obviously there's no getting the demon out.
Hmm.
So except by an act of self-sacrifice. So it is
Mm.
supposed to be a um, imitation of Christ, so that take on the sin, and then there's always been this idea like, yeah, you're passively giving yourself up to crucifixion, but it is a kind of suicidal thing. So, but for a purpose, which is a little problematic in the Catholic Church, because it's a mortal sin to kill yourself. But
Hmm.
if it's for self-sacrificial love, so it ends the possession at any rate. And I should mention that like a lot of the demons like had real specific medical names in a lot of the early kind of like spells that we find from
What do you
Mesopotamia
mean?
and stuff like
What do you
that.
mean medical names?
So it'd be like I mean, you'll hear this actually right now in the Protestant Church and healing things. Like I cast out the demon of deafness from you, or whatever, or
Oh,
the
okay,
or
I
the
gotcha.
demon of cancer from you, or whatever. Like it's like
Okay.
they what I mean. They're so like, but even like a long time ago. But then there was this other sort. So like usually it was like Pazuzu, like a demon associated with pestilence or disease or something like that, that you'd be casting out through whatever priestly means you had. You might even hire a priest to do it, or you would try to prevent it from happening in the first place by putting the statue, as an acting as an amulet of protection around your house or whatever. So like, does is this a way to defeat the demon? Well, this is the Christian story. It's not even really like any of those other kind of things. It's like that's the uniqueness in a way of Christianity, which is this. So how is the faith? How does Laddie restore our faith in spirituality, higher powers, religiosity, by showing us this one thing that Jesus did, that human beings can do, which is to act outside of their own instinct for self-preservation, and to make this thing that seems to be outside of our nature to be able to do, but to do it, which is to like take this on and then take care of it. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, again, yeah, he definitely didn't want to live with it in him, but he also wanted to, and the not become this evil thing that would also cause people to despair. But like by his act of, self-sacrificial love, he's able to, defeat the demon, what we would say in weakness, like rather than strength, because all like the power and machismo of the power of Christ compels you and all this shit didn't work. And that is actually like the Latin translated in English of the original Greek, which would have, like in the name of Jesus kind of thing, just like
Hmm.
cast out the demon or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, I
And
mean
that's even
it's
older than Christianity, though, right, Marty? Like, though that kind of concept of,
oh yeah.
you're balancing the scales. That even goes
Exorcism is
like,
much older than Christianity.
right,
Yes,
Right.
well,
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
right, yeah.
It's just like demons are much older than Christian. I mean, again, it depends how you consider it. You know what I mean? Like, was Pazuzu a demon? I mean, that was not certainly the word used to describe him. You could say, so you could do this syncretistic thing where you say, oh, Pazuzu was like the first, I don't know, form of the devil or something like that. Well, not really. I mean, it's pretty hard to draw that straight line, from Pazuzu to Legion to, whatever. And like, how is that all the same thing? I don't know, but like,
Yeah,
so
I
yeah,
definitely think that the demon lived on, just not in,
yeah.
Father
In Georgetown, just not no
Karras's.
longer in Georgetown.
Yeah.
The Jesuits
Right.
kicked him out of Georgetown.
Yeah, he's
He
moved
headed over to
on.
Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like-
Right. Yep. All right. So let's talk about some fun facts. I know, Andrea, you already talked about Mercedes McCambridge and her sacrifices that she made to make the voice of Pazuzu. And we touched a little bit on the stunt actress. So Warner Brother reportedly forced Friedkin to use actress Eileen Dietz, who was 15 years older than Blair, as Blair's stunt double. She stood in for Blair in that crucifix scene, the fight with Father Karras, and other too violent or too disturbing scenes for Blair to perform. Uh, Dietz recalled that Friedkin gave her no notes and said, I wasn't playing a little girl. This is a quote. I was playing the demon that possessed the little girl. And that's how she played that role. Dietz also appears on camera as the face of Pazuzu. So that's this face right here. That's her in a bunch of makeup, and that shit is so
Beautiful.
scary. Nightmare fuel.
Oh, another thing
Um,
they added in the director's cut, like a whole bunch more
a
face
whole bunch
shots.
more of the
I
face
guess it was like only
shots.
once in the
Yep.
whole
So I
original
watched
thing or
the
something
old
like that.
version. That's what I was
Yeah.
watching. And it was,
Yeah.
I think it was twice that they
Twice.
flashed
Oh,
Yeah.
it. And I think they were supposed to do it like so fast that you weren't sure. Like I knew to look
yeah,
Right.
I
for
like
it,
that better.
Right.
but it was supposed to be so fast that it just was like in your subconscious almost, like
Right.
that
Yeah.
unsettled feeling, like what was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they didn't have the
No.
crab walk in yours, Andrea?
No, I didn't see the
Oh
spider
no,
walk.
you haven't seen
Oh,
it. We'll have to send it to you.
Oh, I think I've
you,
seen
well,
parodies of it, but I haven't
Oh,
no, you
seen
okay.
like
gotta
the
see it.
You got it's
You
pretty
need
yeah,
good.
to
maybe this is
see
why I
the
wasn't
freak.
traumatized, but
Oh
Right,
man,
because you didn't get that scene. And
I
then
can't
like
believe
there's
that.
like five other, maybe four or five other Pazuzu flashes in
yeah.
the director's cut.
Hmm.
So you get a lot more of them.
There's too much. They played it out too much for
It's pretty
real.
good.
Like, calm down with that.
So maybe some of the
Like,
cuts were good then.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
crab walk for sure, but like, yeah, putting in too much Pazuzu, like that face is like just too
Okay,
much.
well,
Yeah,
that face is it's creepy as shit, right? But it's also
you can
reminds me a
overplay
little
it.
too much of old style movie horror monsters.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, like
yeah.
that's something that you might see like I mean like a really good version of, some of the monsters, but
Right. So this film, The Exorcist, is known to be a cursed film, so to speak. Just the lore behind it. There was a lot of creepy, mysterious things that happened during the making of this film. So number one, I guess there was some mysterious fires. The entire main film set burned to the ground in the middle of the night one night. Miraculously, the only room that survived the fire was the bedroom where the exorcism films or the exorcism scenes were filmed. We already talked about the real injuries sustained by lead actress Ellen Burstyn and by Linda Blair. There was also tragic deaths. Nine people connected to the movie, including actors, a camera operator's newborn baby, and a night watchman died before the movie was even released. There were some creepy vibes on the set of the movie. The set had unexplained cold spots. Some actors felt eerily like an eerie dark presence watching them, and the director Friedkin was so unsettled by all the strange events that were going on while making this movie that he actually brought in real priests to bless the set. So it's just some interesting little fun facts about this movie.
Down the stairs behind me actually did it uninjured, and they actually had Georgetown students stand by for the stunt and charged him money. And I don't know
Oh
how that got,
wow.
yeah.
and he did it like two or three times.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh. So they were charging money for people to watch this
Yeah,
guy
from like
fall down the
nearby
steps?
windows, like from the other buildings.
Oh, God. Wow. All right. So let's move into final thoughts.
I can jump in.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I said, at the beginning that I'm glad I watched it.
Yay.
I conquered the fear of watching the movie,
Yeah.
if anything else, and thought that it was a lot deeper in terms of the themes than I expected as well.
Yeah.
I really liked a lot of the interesting facts about it. Didn't like the director after this, from
Mm,
like what an a-hole he was,
yeah.
to, his actors. But and I'm just still amazed that at the time that this was done in 1973, and
Mhm.
just how far certain things were pushed. And I mean, in terms of like just,
Yeah.
yeah, the language, the scenes, and how far he pushed some of the themes. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I wouldn't say like, I enjoyed the experience. I just thought it was really, really good.
Right.
Great movie.
Marty, what are your final thoughts on this movie?
Yeah, I mean, having been a public school teacher in sort of difficult environments for 32 years now, I've seen kids self-harm, and it's certainly
Mm,
not, and it would be nice if it was a demon and you could name it and cast it out, but it's a lot more complicated than that. But I've seen the impotency of psychology and modern science to really heal those kinds of behaviors. I've also seen, a lot of victims of kids who are victims of sexual abuse. This is not always the case, but there are some that, develop like a very overly sexualized kind of vocabulary and stuff like that. So,
right.
I mean, again, what's repressed even to the director and writer themselves is like their own projection of sexual abuse into the situation. Like that level of, like even to her mom saying like "fuck me" and all that kind of shit. Like, or I mean, for me, like, and I know some talking, some people would say it's just because I'm Catholic, that's why I was traumatized by it. But no, masturbating with a rosary, which wasn't really even the fact that they called it masturbating when she was stabbing herself and mutilating her genitalia is like, I don't really. Whatever you're expressing there, it could be a shock thing, but the question is why does that work as a shock? Why, and what enjoyment is the director getting out of that level of scandalization of people? And like how is that? To me, like that's all that stuff was too far. Even though it's an actress and they got the older one and
Is
everything
that
like
is
that.
that scene in the book too? I'm assuming that scene
It
is in the
is,
book
yeah,
as well.
it
Okay.
yeah, it is, yeah. And so that stuff to me though was like your repressed sort of like male notion of this sort of like sexual defilement, whether or not it winds up being kind of another form of sexual violence, even though it's being just acted out or whatever. There's no way to avoid it. Like you are bringing that demonic spirit, spirit into the world. Whether even because to me, like even though it's sort of imaginary thing, it's still real. And so it is like this. I don't know. Yeah, something that I don't want to bar it just because I'm like a prude or something like that. But it's I mean I just think it's I don't know, a depiction of violence towards children that you wouldn't do if you'd like been around that kind of violence that has been done to children or whatever. Like you wouldn't depict it on screen, or whatever. And I'm sure there's plenty of arguments about, well, we got to expose this or whatever, but they didn't think they were making a film about sexual violence. I'm the one who thinks they're making a film about sexual violence.
Mhm.
So like, when you don't have that level of like, awareness, but you're putting this stuff up there for shock value. To me, maybe it's because I'm a Catholic prude or whatever. But and I thought the defacement of Mary was pretty shocking. I'll admit that probably that only had an effect on me because I was Catholic. But like causing self harm to yourself, with a cross, um, is like it's purposefully shocking, and I'm not sure what good that image brings into the world. Like, does it really help us to fight evil or re-enchant the world or know something important about evil? Not to me. So Um, anyway.
Do you like this movie? 'Cause-
Oh yeah, no, I do like it. I really wound up kind of like thinking that both of them were at cross purposes with their what their avowed intentions
Hmm.
were to like I mean, well, much more Vladdy's than Freakin's was like, his was to re-enchant the world. Like give this by making evil evil again, which is a kind of I get it as a strategy. But it kind of undermines itself when you're just doing this stuff to be shocking or whatever, and it involves like child pornography, frankly, even though they used an adult actor to do that supposedly. It still was an image of a child. So
Hmm.
I mean, and you're still imagining, you know, that's a child that's happening to, or whatever. So that's
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely um it's a pretty strong view. I feel like I I I get where you're coming from. I don't think I necessarily 100% agree. But I mean, so my final thoughts, like what really can be said about The Exorcist? I mean, this is truly one of, for me, the scariest and most horrific best horror movies of all time, in my opinion. And I think because of those types of scenes that you were talking about, that's what makes it a horror movie, right? Horrific things. You know, and some of the aspects of The Exorcist, I think, may feel a little bit outdated based on like today's filmmaking standards. But the one thing I do love about this movie is the practical effects still hold up. This shit is scary. You know what I'm saying? This is not CGI. This is makeup. And I love practical effects. And this one has some Regan's face when she's fully possessed. Oh my gosh, it is so scary. Um, even to this day. And the makeup really continues to impress me. I think today, like, also we're accustomed to really fast-paced movie storytelling, especially in contemporary horror. But I do love a slow burn 70s movie. You got movies like The Exorcist, The Changeling, The Wicker Man, like just things that are just building that dread and that tension. And that's also what kind of pays off at the end, is when you do get all of these scares. You've been waiting for all of this to happen, and then it happens. And it's just really terrifying. The plot development is slow at first when we're in northern Iraq. You're kind of trying to figure out like what is happening, what's going, but I feel like you need all of that to understand the story as a whole, and it makes the horror of the movie more effective. Just either, and also just Father Merrin arriving to the McNeil's house, where we have that iconic shot of the light beaming on him from Regan's bedroom. It just, all that combined just really makes this movie uh absolutely chilling and terrifying, and it still really resonates with me today, just like I saw it many, many decades ago.
Thanks for letting me participate in this again,
Yeah,
like bringing a newbie
absolutely.
into the mix.
Man, I really like that you like this movie. Like that you were like, it's not that bad. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
could be worse. But yeah, so this is,
I mean, I
wow,
did watch
great.
the old cut, but I may
Yeah, you've got to
have
watch
to
the
see like
director's
these.
cut. You might be scared. You might really be traumatized if you see that crab walk down the
part of it
stairs.
is it comes out of nowhere.
It
Like it,
does.
it, it is misplaced in the movie. He is right. It is too early.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Right.
is.
And you are just absolutely not expecting it. Just like all of a sudden,
No.
just like in your face, like what the
Yeah.
hell just happened?
Well, a
Yeah.
part of me too is like, would you let that poor kid sleep in some other room? I mean, does she really have to go back to the one where the bed was like lifting up and down?
Yeah, I
Like,
know. I know.
how about a different room? Let her sleep on
Yeah.
the sofa in the family room. I don't know.
Right. Right. I know. So, before we announce what we're covering next time, Please be sure to follow the podcast so you'll be the first to know when a new episode drops. Also, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. We also have an Instagram page, so please follow us at the Desire of Horror Podcast. So next time on the Desire of Horror Podcast, we will be discussing another heavy hitter, 1976, The Omen. So please join us. Thank you for listening. Until we meet again, have a good week and take care of each other.